6 ways to win in silence without the ego. Introduction. Do we only feel we've won when we're seen? Have you ever quietly done something good, then felt a pang of emptiness when no one acknowledged it? Have you ever been patient, persistent, diligent, and kind, but when there was no recognition, no one noticed, not even a single thank you, you started to ask yourself, am I being foolish? Am I living like a loser? Do the silent ever win against anyone? In this world, we're forced to prove ourselves, prove we're right, prove we're capable, prove we have value, and in that process, the ego grows like a wild beast. People teach you to fight back, to clap back, to shine. But Stoic philosophy is not like that. Stoics believe true victory doesn't need noise. True victory is the quiet growth of a mind no longer controlled by the ego. Right now, you and I will go through 6 ways to win in silence, without letting the ego intrude. No display, no need to win on the stage, but to win inside your very own inner training hall. Method 1. Keep silent when you could clap back. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone insulted you, twisted the truth, or pushed you into a corner? What was your instinctive reaction? To rebut? To prove you're right? To throw back a line to put them in their place? Epictetus taught, if you stay silent before an insult, you have taken away the attacker's weapon. The ego always wants the last word. It wants to win the argument, even if the price is your peace. Stoics don't choose to win with words. They choose to win by not reacting, not because they're weak, but because they refuse to lose themselves in order to gain something unnecessary. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you can remain silent when provoked, you are stronger than 1,000 fine speeches. Silence does not mean letting others walk over you. It means you deliberately protect the clarity in your own head. You don't need to win today's quarrel. You just need to defeat the urge to flex inside you. Stoics understand. The right silence doesn't make you weaker. It makes you deeper and steadier. When you can be silent without feeling shortchanged, that's when you begin to have real strength. Keeping silent when you could respond is a form of quiet victory. But there's an even deeper victory, when you do the right thing even if no one sees. And that is what we'll step into next. Method 2. Do the right thing without needing witnesses. Have you ever done something good yet felt hurt when no one acknowledged it? Have you helped someone, sacrificed personal benefit, kept quiet for another's sake, and received indifference, even misunderstanding in return? Have you lived decently, kept your word, behaved honorably, while those around you schemed, lied, and manipulated their way ahead? In those moments, a voice rings in your head. Is this worth it? No one sees anyway. Should I keep doing this when no one gives me credit? That is the ego screaming for a reward. But Marcus Aurelius wrote, do the right thing as if you were doing it before the gods, even if no mortal eye sees it. Stoics don't do the right thing to be seen. They do the right thing because that is the work of a person living by reason. You don't need stage lights to have value. You only need to keep your inner light from going out. Seneca said, a virtuous act does not gain value simply because someone witnessed it. Doing right when no one knows, that's when you truly know who you are. When you keep a promise to someone even if they forgot it. When you return something you found even though no one asked. When you do extra work without praise. When you apologize first even if you weren't 100% at fault. That is when you win. Not over others, but over the part of you that craves to stand out and be applauded. The ego always wants a prize. Reason only asks for right action. Stoics don't live for applause. They live so they can look directly in the mirror each day without shame. You may not be acknowledged today, but you know you're building a self that cannot be shaken by the world's neglect, and that is the greatest victory. Remember, Epictetus taught, a kind person doesn't need recognition. They only need not to betray themselves. So whenever you feel it's not worth it, ask yourself, am I doing this to be seen or because it aligns with who I want to become? The answer will tell you whether you're living by reason or being driven by ego. That is what it means to win in silence. No one needs to see. You only need not forget what you're living for. Doing the right thing without witnesses is a quiet but powerful victory. But there will be times you're attacked, slandered, or misrepresented. And the greatest temptation is to justify yourself to protect your reputation. That's when the third victory is most clearly tested. Knowing when not to explain. Method 3. Know when explanation isn't needed. Have you ever been misunderstood, misrepresented, or saddled with things you never did? Have you ever felt compelled to clarify things with family, colleagues, even people who don't truly understand you, simply because you don't want anyone to think wrongly of you? We live in a society where the ego insists on being clarified. The ego fears being misunderstood. The ego fears being misjudged. The ego fears losing face to rumors. And so we waste tremendous energy explaining, proving, excusing, representing ourselves. Epictetus said, if people misunderstand you, don't rush to explain. You are defining yourself by someone else's imagination. That line doesn't teach you to be careless about honor. It reminds you, not everyone deserves your full-throated defense. Stoics understand, true reputation doesn't come from what you say. It comes from the life you live. If you live rightly, the discerning will understand. Those who want to misunderstand you, tell them 1,000 times and they'll still distort it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, someone's misunderstanding of me does not harm me, but if I lose my calm because of them, then I am the one harming myself. The ego hates being made up. It wants everything clear, transparent, black and white. But the truth is, not everyone is seeking truth. Many are only seeking whatever sustains their mistaken beliefs so they can feel they're right. Stoics choose quietude as their reply. They don't spend time on what isn't worthy of their peace. They understand that what needs time to be clarified should be left to time. And above all, they don't need others to understand them in order to have permission to live rightly. You don't need to tell the whole world you're good. You only need to avoid falling into the trap of constantly proving you're not bad. If someone speaks falsely about you, and you know you've lived honestly and acted rightly, smile. Don't counterattack as if your reputation were so fragile that a few rumors could shatter it. The more you justify, the more stage you give to someone else's ego. The more you speak, the more material others have to twist. Stoics choose a quiet good name, born of conduct, not of words. So next time you want to set the record straight, pause 3 seconds and ask, does this person truly need to understand me? Or are they just looking for a weak spot to strike? Will my living rightly change anything if they still insist on thinking wrongly? Might my silence be the more dignified answer? The answer will be clear when you are steady enough not to react, and when you no longer need others to understand, you'll feel a profound freedom. If you've stayed with this to here, perhaps you too have felt the experience of no one understanding you, no one acknowledging you, no one taking your side. And if you still haven't lost your calm, then congratulations. You are quietly winning without the ego speaking up. Subscribe to Stoicism Empire, because here, there are no rounds of applause, only the quiet companionship of minds training to stand firm, day by day. We won't help you shine, we'll help you not collapse when the lights go out. Method 4, hold to your principles when no one is watching. True strength doesn't lie in keeping your promises when someone is supervising you, but in living rightly when no one is watching. We're living in an age where the spotlight is always waiting. Social media cheers on moral performance. Do a good deed, then record it. Live decently, then show proof. Train, study, stay up late, get up early. Only feel motivated if someone knows about it. All of this slowly turns people into actors in their own lives. And once there's no audience, many shed their principles. Seneca once wrote, "A noble mind has its teacher in its own conscience." Stoics don't need anyone's supervision to live rightly. They self-discipline. They keep their word. They keep their self-respect, even when no one is applauding. Why? Because they understand true freedom doesn't come from escaping external control, but from the ability to self-govern within. You'll see this in people who are very quiet. They arrive on time even when no one's checking. They finish the work even when no one's pushing. They keep their ethics even when no one's watching. They live with values without broadcasting them for validation. Marcus Aurelius emphasized, "Live as if the noblest observer were watching you, your conscience." The ego craves an audience. It wants to be seen, acknowledged, praised to feel worthy. But that craving makes you quick to drop your principles when the lights go out. Winning in silence requires an inner compass, a value system you won't sell out, even if no one gives you credit. Stoics hold to their principles like pillars holding up the temple of the soul. If you break them just because no one will see, you're the one tearing down the foundation of your own dignity. You don't have to live like a saint, but you do need to live as someone who knows their moral boundaries and doesn't cross them for convenience or permission. Silence here means you don't have to trumpet that you live rightly, yet you still live rightly. Holding to your principles when no one sees is how you train your inner strength, the kind no one can take away. And when others are surprised that you're consistently steady, solid, and trustworthy, you don't need to explain. You only need to smile. I've been training this for a long time, when no one was watching. Method 5. Let go of the need to be better than others. There is nothing more exhausting than comparing yourself to others every single day. And nothing binds us more tightly to the ego than the craving to be better than. Have you noticed this? When you're learning a new skill, the ego whispers, "Are you better than that person?" When you're praised, the ego wonders, "Is someone else being praised more than you?" When life feels stable, the ego nags, "Are you really succeeding or just falling behind?" That voice keeps you from ever feeling enough. It robs you of peace, and it turns life into an endless race against thousands of imaginary rivals. The Stoic understands one uncomfortable truth. If you want peace, don't try to be better than others. Try to be better than who you were yesterday. Epictetus once taught, "Don't aim to be better than someone else. Aim to be better than yourself." Victory in silence without ego is when you work hard, not to beat someone, but simply not to betray your own potential. When you go to the gym, no one needs to know. You're not working out to surpass anyone, just to be stronger than your yesterday self. When you study, read, or work, you're not trying to prove anything. You're simply living as someone who is committed to growth. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't concern yourself with what others are doing. Focus on what you must do." The ego whispers, "Aren't you falling behind?" The Stoic answers, "I don't need to compare. I only need to stay aligned." The ego keeps you distracted with meaningless races. Who has more money? Who is more famous? Who seems more successful? But do you know something? Even if you win those races, you might still lose yourself because you'll constantly have to fight to maintain your place, living to perform, living to outdo, never resting. Letting go of the need to be better than others doesn't mean giving up. It simply means redirecting your effort towards something truly meaningful. You don't need to be the best. You just need to keep growing. You don't need to beat anyone. Just don't betray yourself. Victory in silence is a kind of battle with no audience, no opponent, no scoreboard, just you and the choices you make every single day. And one day when someone asks you, "How did you become so skilled?" so grounded. You'll simply smile and say, I never tried to be better than anyone. I only tried to be better than who I was yesterday. Method 6. Accept what you can't control and transmute it into strength. There's a paradox the Stoics repeat over and over. Acceptance isn't surrender. It's the beginning of inner power. You cannot win in silence if your ego is still thrashing around in what lies beyond your control. People misunderstand you and you want to explain. People judge you and you want to justify yourself. Life veers from your plan and you feel it's unfair. But Stoics do the opposite. Instead of shouting in the crowd, I'm innocent, they live uprightly in silence because they know truth doesn't need to scream. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, I can control my conduct, but I cannot control another's thoughts. So why torment myself over what I do not control? That is the spirit of winning in silence. When others hurt you, you choose not to answer with fury. When life disappoints, you choose not to collapse into resentment. When people compete and quarrel, you choose to keep your composure. Because you know the only thing you truly own is your response. Epictetus taught, the strong are not those who cannot be hurt, but those who do not let hurt rule them. And if you step back, you'll see it clearly. Life wasn't made to indulge you. It was made to test you. The more you resist reality, the deeper you're dragged into anger, exhaustion, and bitterness. The more you accept reality, the more energy you have to transform within. Acceptance isn't sitting still in suffering. Acceptance is the starting point for the crucial question. Now, what can I do within the limits of what I control? That's when the ego grows quiet and wisdom begins to speak. You become calm without being cold, resilient without needing to rebel. And you gradually understand, no one can take your power unless you hand it to them. Stoics don't win by changing the whole world. They win by refusing to let the world knock their inner axis off center, and that is the summit of winning in silence. No one sees it, but everyone feels it. No words are needed, yet it still makes others look back at themselves. We've just walked through 6 ways to win in silence, without the ego. But before we close, I invite you to take one last minute, not to recall theories, but to touch the deepest core of Stoic philosophy. Right after this comes the conclusion, a brief awakening that can change how you live the rest of your life. Philosophical conclusion. You don't need to speak up to prove you're right. You don't need to strike back to prove you're strong. And you don't need to stand out to have value. The greatest victory in life is winning over yourself without anyone needing to acknowledge it. In an increasingly noisy world where people shout to avoid being forgotten, Stoics choose silence so they won't lose themselves. They don't chase recognition. They don't try to force the world to be fair. They simply live quietly with principle, discipline, and courage without an audience. Seneca once said something that makes the whole world bow its head in reflection. A person who has matured no longer needs anyone to witness their victories. And as you walk that silent path, you'll discover every kind act you do that no one knows about, every time you take the loss without complaint, every moment you choose peace over ego, these are the bricks that build a steadfast soul. You no longer need to prove anything, because you yourself are the proof of a steady, strong, and inwardly free human being. Remember, the ego demands the spotlight. Inner strength only needs inner light, and that light is what will guide you through the quietest storms. If you feel you're fighting silently in a noisy world, you are not alone. Stoicism Empire is here to walk with you by philosophy, not slogans. Subscribe, so each video is another step that strengthens your journey toward living steadfastly. Stoicism Empire, where quiet souls grow unbreakable.